I'm so excited. I'm here with Dr. Fee. We've met for probably close to a year now.
Yeah.
I think if I was to use a word to describe you, I would say a sponge. A second word would probably be humility. Yeah. So I describe you as a sponge because you really like a sponge. You just absorb everything. Yeah, I mean, I'm quite surprised today. You told me that the book that I passed you 2 weeks ago, you finished. So, humility is because I was telling people that this person who is a medical doctor, but she asks questions as if she's a child. She doesn't pretend to know everything. And you are quite ready to start from zero, and I told RTB about our friendship, which we haven't met for too many times, but it doesn't take a long period of friendship in order to go deep in the respect that I have for you, the kind of bond that I think we have formed. So one of the reasons is because I think that we share a lot of books in common.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think we'll start with on the premise of who is Dr. Fee? Yes.
Who am I?
Uh-huh.
That's a very hard question to answer.
I know.
I'm known as an eye surgeon here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of the few local specialist eye surgeon in the country. I just came back maybe about 1.5 years ago to Brunei.
Only?
Yes.
Right.
Outside that, I do so many things. I was just joking to my husband saying that maybe I do so many things because I have like some sort of attention deficit problem thing. That I can't stick to one thing because I get bored. But also because I enjoy meeting new people and
right.
I enjoy talking to people like you know, and we spend hours just chatting about stuff. Outside my work, I speak at schools and organizations to share on things that I really believe in, in hoping that maybe what I share might stir something inside them or teach them something that can change their perception in one way or another. Yeah, so that's what I do.
We haven't met too many times, less than a dozen, but each time we sit down, I discover something new about you. From the very surface, people would know you as a doctor, and people outside who listen to you would think that would know you as a public speaker, and those are two very different disciplines. Chances are, and I would guess, that from the people outside who view you as a speaker would have no idea what your life is about at all in the medical realm. Why not we start with that? Who is Dr. Fee? In a professional sense, the medical sense, the medical doctor. Tell us about the life of doctor.
So I work at the Ministry of Health.
In the medical realm. Why not we start with that? Who is Dr. Fee? In a professional sense, the medical sense, the medical doctor. Tell us about the life of doctor.
So I work at the Ministry of Health.
Uh-huh.
And I'm also the deputy head for the department for the whole of Brunei. So I help manage that part, administratively trying to run the department, make it smooth. And at the same time, I see a lot of patients, complex cases mostly.
So you do both?
Yes, I do both. And I operate on complex cataract cases, and I see uveitis as well, which is kind of a semi-new subspecialty here.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone can see uveitis, but I made it like a specific clinic where I can kind of keep them and look after them together. And through that work, I also do community work from my ophthalmology specialty itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I work with Ministry of Youth, Culture and Sports in community projects, like the Braille Orientation Mobility program that we did, and I also do kind of world awareness days. So, for example, World Sight Day, World Glaucoma Day, and all these other awareness programs and stuff. So, and I really love my job.
It seems like it's a very complex discipline whereby, on the one hand, you have to wear your medical hat to treat people.
Yes.
On the other, you have to lead a group of, I think that doctors, healthcare workers, inclusive of doctors.
Yes, that's right.
And I have doctors friends, and they are not easy to convince.
Yes, that's right. Especially if you're one of the youngest in the department.
Exactly. That was going to be my question.
Yeah.
So you are young and you are a lady,
Mm-hmm.
and I would guess that you would have a lot of people whom you're leading are much older than you.
Yes.
Who's been there, and you're new.
Yes.
So there is a lot to prove.
That's right.
Had there been resistance?
I mean, naturally, with any kind of leadership, there will be resistance.
So,
right?
describe to me the initial challenge and how do you overcome them?
I think the thing is, before I went for my specialist training, I was already here.
Ah.
That was about 7 years ago.
Right.
I was here for over a year before I went to Singapore for my specialist training. And that was the first time I was in the eye department. And honestly, I didn't make a good impression, basically, let's just say that. Because, I'm this young kid, just came back from England, been there for over a decade. Suddenly, want to change things because I don't think, it's run properly or whatever, as if I know everything. And obviously you're headbutting everyone. And people hated me, like, the staff just didn't like me, and they just thought, who is this stubborn, demanding young person, like, who does she think she is? She's, new. She's a foreigner in all regards, to us, because, we don't know her. So then I remember our head at that time, Mr. Nan, he's such an amazing figure in terms of my professional development. He's really helped me a lot. He encouraged me and said, look, if you want to make things better, you have to have the credibility. So you have to finish your specialist training, and you have to learn how to work with people. You can't just be angry all the time. No one's going to listen to you, right? So then I went to Singapore, and oh my goodness, that was a different ball game. It was like living in this world of the Game of Thrones. You really have to learn how to play the game very well in order to survive. That's socially, right? And on top of that, you also have to survive, kind of mentally and academically, because these are very, very competitive people you're competing with. Even though you're a foreigner there, you're going there through an agreement from the governments. They still treat you like
one of them.
Yeah, one of them. So you still have to prove your worth.
So no special privilege.
Yeah, no special privilege. So that was hard. That was very hard. It was like a slap in the face, like an awakening. Like,
and that's humbling.
Yeah, very humbling. You have to learn how to work with people. Ultimately, that's what I learned. And through that journey, when I was in Singapore, I went through some very difficult times. I almost wanted to give up, honestly, like everything. I thought at one point, this is not worth it, because I didn't like the kind of person I was becoming. I was becoming more angry, not nice, and I didn't like the kind of person I was becoming, because I thought, this is not why I became a doctor. I became a doctor because I want to help people.
Right.
Simple. But the person I was becoming was not that person. My values and who I was not aligned. So then I decided to take time out. I took a break. I went to somewhere where I felt safe with a family friend, switched off my phone, my email, everything. And then that was when this kind of self-healing process began, and the self-discovery journey began. And I discovered a book that saved my life. And it was this book by Brene Brown called The Gifts of Imperfection. And that opened me up into this whole new world of personal development and contribution and giving back. And I realized if this one book can change my perception permanently, what else can I learn? And then I became hungry. for knowledge.
Right.
And to not just learn, but also to implement what I learned. And I realized how much it changed me. So, and I thought if it can change me, maybe it can also help other people.
You know what is interesting about your discovery to me is that, we all would assume that being a doctor, you would have read plenty of stuff. But I'm quite sure you would have, but it's just towards the specific genre
Yeah, that's right.
of your medical field.
That's right, absolutely. Yeah.
And the very fact that you're so honest and humble about not knowing so many things, and you discover it, and it's like kids in the candy store.
That's what I felt like.
And you're just consuming all this information in the personal development realm.
Exactly.
Yeah. How has it changed you?
A lot, like, in terms of my perception, my outlook in life, and how I respond to very difficult situations. It taught me a lot, like, I can learn how to be emotionally agile, and it also taught me emotional resilience. And not just that, I studied a lot of negotiation and politics, to survive in Singapore, and it worked. All the tactics, and even angry patients. The funny thing was, one time, I had this very angry patient. This is in Singapore, the land of litigation, right? Very angry, fuming. And obviously I was scared, but I just read a book on negotiation. So then I used the techniques, and it was amazing because this guy came from, super angry to suddenly not just completely calm, but in the end, he thanked me and said, you're such a great doctor. Thank you so much for being so caring. And then I even got a compliment letter from this guy through the quality service team.
Do you remember what specifically you say to him to change his mind?
I honestly, I don't. I think it was the fact that I allowed him to express his feelings, and not only that, it was not only that, it was also validating it.
Right.
Like, yeah, I understand. Completely reasonable why you're angry. I think that instantly dissolves 70% of any conflict.
So there's empathy, and someone finally listened.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Because a lot of people become angry because of this.
Yeah,
like
no one
majority of the
listens.
reason, no one's listening. Exactly. They don't feel heard. But the moment you show them that actually I'm listening and I do care, then suddenly the anger just comes.
Subside.